Now, to the Chevy Chase documentary. Now, usually when artists reach a certain age, this is a thing in the culture. It's been around for a while. I think maybe patient zero would have been, I think, Bob Dylan, who commissioned Martin Scorsese to make a documentary about him. They're legacy plays. They're ways for any given artist to try to reframe how they are perceived in the culture so that when they die, their narrative prevails. I don't know what Chevy Chase was thinking with this documentary. I have no idea. This is the beginning of the documentary. We're gonna set the table for, you know what? Lady C was recently on the Nerve, and she used the phrase insupportably dreadful to refer to Meghan Markle, and I told her I'm going to borrow it heavily, and I would add Chevy Chase to that umbrella of people in the culture who are insupportably dreadful. Here is director Marina Zenovich setting the table for us, and it's her voice you're going to hear off camera. Here we go.
I'm just trying to figure you out.
No shit. It's not going to be easy for you.
Why is it not going to be easy?
You're not bright enough. How's that?
And he's saying some of this stuff with like a smile, but you know the kind of smile. It's like a fuck you smile. And this is the way he talks to his director on camera. So imagine what he sounds like when he thinks cameras are down or nobody's recording a thing. This woman's an Emmy winner. And at one point he calls her you bitch. He says, you bitch. And, you know, he likes to think he's the smartest person in the room, but I'm just going to say, Chevy, the obvious point, which is this woman, the way your documentary turns out, unless there's some other side deal that we're unaware of in which you had final cut, she's going to shape this documentary. So why would you antagonize her? Why would you say to her, I think you're fucking stupid? Have you not gotten a single memo since Me Too exploded? You know, talking to a woman like that? Okay. Now, Chevy's brother, Ned, talks about visiting Chevy in LA and going to a restaurant rather with a bunch of people. Like they're in a restaurant. It's at the height of his fame. It's 1981. And there's just a mound of cocaine on the table, in the middle of the table on the restaurant. And nobody bats an eye. Chevy was about to start filming Modern Problems. It's about a man whose life winds up in a crazy drug-fueled spiral. Friends say it mirrored his personal life. And the producer of that movie, Alan Greisman, talks about Chevy also doing huge just piles of cocaine during meetings about the movie. And what the real problem there, though, was that Chevy, I'm not going to spoil it. Here we go.
Chevy, you don't want to work with him because he can be so unpleasant and so gratuitously mean. And I don't think he knows that he is. I think it's an instinct.
Oh, Alan, trust me, he knows he's mean. He's alienated and offended enough people throughout his long career to know that he's mean. Now, what Alan did not say, I thought he was about to say, the problem with Chevy doing mounds of cocaine during these production meetings was that he didn't share. Now, Chevy famously did SNL for one season and then the first, and then he skedaddled and he was like, fuck off, I'm going to go be a movie star. Okay. And he was replaced by Bill Murray, who also has a terrible reputation. Okay. Terrible. Comics are often really fucked up people. They are often very angry. They are working out a lot of rage. Not all of them, but most of them. Okay. Now, Jim Miller, who is the co-author of the indispensable, if you guys haven't read this oral history, it's amazing, live from New York. I brought my copy because we're going to talk about some stuff that isn't in the doc. But he talks here about Chevy returning to host SNL in 1985. Now, 85, mid-80s. Reagan had just left office, right? No. Reagan was president. Terry Sweeney was a cast member, the first openly gay cast member, and he often played Nancy Reagan. Now, so this is the height of the AIDS crisis. Okay, it took Ronald Reagan years to even say the word AIDS. Okay, and it was a time in which gay people, gay men especially, were just shunned and mocked. And so here's how Chevy, returning as the big conquering hero of Hollywood, treated Terry Sweeney on the set. Here we go.
He was really tough on the furniture that week, particularly Terry Sweeney, who was the first openly gay cast member of SNL.
President Kennedy?
Very good call. He had this wonderfully warm icebreaker with Terry Sweeney, which was, "You're gay, right?" And Terry said, "Yes. What would you like me to do for you?" And Chevy said, "You can start by licking my balls." And then, of course, it went downhill from there.
I think Chevy.
You don't say.
Chevy, he would say things that were funny, but he would assume that you were comedy people and he could speak that way. You know, we would say terrible things because that's what would make us laugh. It wasn't, we didn't tell anecdotes, you know.
You said to Terry Sweeney, "Oh, you're the gay guy. Why don't we do something where we say you have AIDS and then every week we weigh you?"
That's the worst.
So Chevy Chase laughs like heartily, genuinely at that, and then says, "Oh, that's the worst." But I don't think he means it. And prior to that, explaining why it was that Chevy was allowed to get away with talking to people like that on his show, on Lorne Michaels' show. That's Lorne Michaels talking there. You know what, Lorne Michaels, like, he'll be remembered for like not leaving SNL, like holding on to the reins of power. But really what Lorne Michaels is going to be remembered for is being a dreadfully insupportable star fucker, non-Perel. And there's a clip of Lorne in this doc as a young man at like a press conference saying he believes that once you start cherry picking things and people who cannot be made fun of, your comedy suffers. And to Lorne, I have 4 words: Alec and Hilaria Baldwin. Now, here is Chevy being told how hurt Terry Sweeney was. Terry Sweeney did not participate in this documentary. I think that was a very healthy choice for him. Being told how hurt Terry was by Chevy's comments that he would like Terry to lick his balls, and his best idea for a sketch, my paraphrasing, is one in which Terry plays an AIDS patient and they weigh him every week to see how much weight he's losing. Here we go.
Terry Sweeney, I mean, he was very funny, this guy. I don't think he's alive anymore, Terry Sweeney. I hope he isn't, because I don't want you talking to him about this.
He's alive.
Is he?
Yeah.
How do you know?
Because I looked him up on Google. I mean, is he alive? He's alive.
Oh, he's alive! The gay guy.
Oh, God. No, I think, and this is...
But the idea of weighing him, come on, that's clearly me.
His
Okay, so Chevy, of course, tries to just make a joke. That's what like cowards like this do, like mean bullies. I mean, bullies are mean. That's redundant, but you know what I mean? He's a bully. So he's got to turn it into like a joke and like, "Oh, how do you know he's alive?" And the director is like, "I fucking Googled it." The woman who's not bright enough to crack the code of one Chevy Chase. So now he's like, "Well, prove to me that he was hurt. You're saying it's in books." And somebody brings their copy of Live from New York. And they read this extract, and the audio, it's a little soft because the person off camera isn't mic'd, but listen closely. You should be able to make it out. Here we go.
Chevy turned to me and he said, "Oh, you're the gay guy, right?" And he said, "I've got an idea for a sketch for you. How about we say you have AIDS and we weigh you every week?" It was out of place, so then he ended up having to apologize and actually coming to my office. He was really furious that he had to apologize to me. He was just beside himself, and it was just awful.
None of that's true. I would remember that.
You would?
Yeah. That I was angry that I had to apologize to him? Good God, Chevy, what's wrong with you? I mean, of course that's just not true. My memory is that he's lying, is my memory. He's not telling the truth. That isn't me. That's not how I am. And if I am that way, my life has changed because I have to live with that now for the rest of my fucking life because you guys got a book out and read it to me.
Well, first of all, like all narcissists, he has made this vicious treatment of Terry Sweeney all about him. Yeah, now my life is fucked because I have to live with that, you know? And that's not me. He's lying. And I'm going to tell you something. I know I publish books. I know this. When you publish a book, they vet it. They go through legal. And if somebody's making an assertion like that, I fucking guarantee you that thing was legal 8 way to Sunday. And by the way, live from New York, it's an oral history littered with cast members telling their stories of what it was like. So, you know, and everybody, like, what's notable about this documentary too is who's not in it. Okay. There are not many people who want to talk about this guy. Okay. I'm going to read from, don't be mad at me. These are my Mel Robbins glasses. These were the only ones I was able to find at the moment. Terry Sweeney is one of the interviewees in Live from New York. Here he is. Chevy hosted the second show, and we were all so excited because to us, Chevy was like a god. This was someone returning who'd been one of the original people and was this legendary figure, and we were just excited to work with him. And when he got there, he was a monster. I mean, he insulted everybody. He said to Robert Downey Jr., "Didn't your father used to be a successful director? Whatever happened to him? Boy, he sure died. You know, he sure went to hell. Downey turned ashen." And then he went on to attack Chevy in the same way. Jane Curtin is in here saying that John, this is page 144, John Belushi, absolutely didn't like being in sketches with women. He told me women were not funny. Actually, Chevy said it to me as well, and I found it stunning. Now, for unknown reasons, Ryan Reynolds, who lost, wait, did he win? We'll have to ask Marlena. She can tell me. You know, he was up for our first inaugural, Nerve Awards, Celebrity Arsonist of the Year. As we know, he burned down his elementary school in Canada and later gave an interview in which he said he did get away with it, and he hoped that some poor schmuck wasn't spending time in prison for what he did. For unknown reasons, Ryan Reynolds is in here. This psycho arsonist. Hey, just my opinion, you know, but it is supported. It's supported by reports contemporaneous and after the fact. Now, Chevy, listen, if Chevy Chase had been born a little bit later, he would have been wise to something that's currently going on in the culture in which assholes, bullies, monsters, recidivists say, hey, you know what? I'm on the spectrum, so back off. I'm neurodivergent. You know, Chevy doesn't have this defense at the ready. Now, Ryan, again, for unknown reasons, is in this documentary, and he's talking about Chevy and how he ripped Chevy off in one of his first earlier lame movies. And towards the back part of the doc, Chevy's abusive childhood is discussed. And it sounds terrible. And I'm sorry that he had such a terrible childhood. That does not give one license to be a monster for the rest of their lives. He's got a brother in here, a stepbrother in here. They both lived through the same home, the same abusive childhood. I don't see them out here in these streets treating people like garbage. But so there we have it. So anyway, Ryan Reynolds is asked whether he knew, such a fan of Chevy's, such a fan. Did he know about Chevy's past? And watch his body language. It's so weird and squirrely. And I think Ryan is not that great of an actor. And I think Ryan is not that great of a liar. And I hope that this gives Justin Baldoni's team a little boost. Okay, here's Ryan.
Do you know about his past? Do you know that he was abused as a child?
I don't know that he was abused as a child, but I am sort of sad to say that I would have guessed that because, that what he's doing is a coping mechanism.
Hey, from one bully to another, what he's doing is a coping mechanism. I think Ryan thinks he's talking about comedy. But what I think that really means is a coping mechanism is making everybody else's life hell, and getting your sadistic kinks out by treating people like crap. Here's Anthony Michael Hall, made most famous in the John Hughes film 16 Candles. But when he was 14, he played Chevy's son in National Lampoon's Vacation. And here he is, Anthony, on the Inside of You podcast with Michael Rosenbaum. Now, he's talking about the way Chevy talked to him as a 14-year-old kid when the cast had to come back 6 months after wrapping to reshoot the ending of Vacation. Here we go.
So we regrouped 6 months later. Puberty kicked in. I'm like 4 inches taller. I get to the set at Magic Mountain. I got a huge zit on my chin. Chevy's like, nice. Okay, you're jerking off. Good to see you've grown. It was just
probably did
but
say
that's how
that.
Chevy was. Yeah. No, he said, yeah, something like that. If you're blind, you're doing it right, meaning I was whacking off. I don't know what the hell he was saying.
That's how Chevy was. Anybody who's ever had a bully in their family, immediate or extended, or just a person who I would refer to as a non-negotiable personality, knows that refrain all too well. Well, that's just how they are. And I reject that thoroughly out of hand. I don't care if that's how they are. I don't have to like it. I don't have to put up with it. And I don't have to be around it. As the weather gets colder, blood pressure tends to rise. This is due to a variety of factors: narrowing blood vessels, increased salt cravings, and less physical activity. But here's the good news. You have the power to take control naturally with 120 Life. 120 Life is a blend of great tasting superfruit juices that can actually help lower your blood pressure naturally. 120 Life is formulated with ingredients that have been shown to support healthy blood pressure levels. It's trusted by over 1,000 health professionals and used by people just like you who have seen real measurable results. You can try it yourself risk-free with their 2-week trial. Just go to 120life.com and use code NERVE, that's NERV, to save 15%. You can track your progress with a simple blood pressure monitor and watch your numbers drop. Feel the difference. Plus, it is completely risk-free. If you don't see lower numbers in 2 weeks, you get your money back. So you have nothing to lose but high blood pressure numbers. Go to 120life.com. That's 120life.com. And remember to use code NERVE to save 15%. This is serious. This is your life we're talking about. And 120 Life can help. Don't wait. Take control of your health today.